The sirens screamed, the sky glowed red. And for 57 nights, Britain faced a storm of fire and steel. It was the autumn of 1940, the moment when Hitler tried to break the British spirit through terror from the skies. But instead, he forged something unbreakable. Welcome to Echoes of Empire, where we bring the forgotten stories of Britain's past back to life. Tonight, we return to the streets of London, Coventry, Liverpool, and Manchester, to the ordinary men, women, and children who stood beneath the bombs, and refused to fall. This is Britain's darkest hour, told through the voices of those who lived it. September 1939. War had begun, but it was quiet. The phony war, they called it. For months, Britain waited, gas masks ready, shelters built, spirits uneasy, then came the whisper, they're coming. On the 7th of September, 1940, the Luftwaffe launched its first full assault on London. Eyewitnesses remembered the hum of engines before the bombs fell. It sounded like a swarm of angry bees. One survivor said, that night, the East End burned. The Thames glowed red. And Britain entered her darkest hour. As the raids grew worse, Londoners descended underground. Tunnels meant for trains became cities of survival. A mother from Stepney wrote in her diary, we sleep on newspapers. The smell of damp and fear fills the air. But we sing to keep the children calm. Night after night, families brought blankets, tea, and even gramophones into the tube stations. Bakers handed out bread. Musicians played violins in the dark. Life continued. Beneath the rubble of the city above, the government at first discouraged sheltering underground. But the people defied them. It was not just survival, it was resistance. The raids were relentless. Flames danced over St. Paul's Cathedral as bombs rained on London. Reporters described the firestorm as a volcano of destruction. Firefighters battled for days, their helmets glowing with heat. One recalled, you couldn't tell where the streets ended and the river began, it was all fire. In Coventry, 500 German bombers destroyed the city in one night. Church bells melted, streets vanished, but the people endured. From the ashes, a new word was born, Coventry. It meant total destruction. Yet even in ruin, the British spirit stood defiant. Amid the chaos, one voice held the nation together, Winston Churchill. He spoke not as a politician, but as a father to a wounded nation, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. His words turned fear into fire. Londoners would listen from shelters, gripping each other's hands, whispering, he makes us believe. Churchill called them his finest hour. But to those who lived it, it was simply survival. While the men fought in the skies, Britain's women held the line at home. They drove ambulances through burning streets. They worked in factories, forged bullets, and dug through rubble for survivors. A nurse from Hackney remembered, we never stopped. When the bombs fell, we ran. When they stopped, we ran faster. In those days, courage wore no uniform. On the 29th of December, 1940, London faced one of its worst nights, the Second Great Fire. Incendiary bombs rained down across the city. Yet St. Paul's Cathedral, target of dozens of attacks, still stood by morning, untouched amid a sea of fire. A journalist wrote, the dome stood like a ghostly guardian, a symbol that London would not die. That image, St. Paul's rising above smoke, became the heart of Britain's defiance. It said what no propaganda ever could, we are still here. By May 1941, the Blitz finally ended. Tens of thousands were dead, 1 million homes destroyed. But Hitler had failed, the people he sought to break had grown stronger. In the ruins of London, children played among bricks. Church bells rang again, and across Britain, handwritten signs appeared on shattered walls, still open. Business as usual. It was more than courage, it was identity. The Blitz was not just a chapter in war, it became Britain's soul. It taught a nation that resilience is built not in victory, but in endurance. Generations later, when Londoners faced terror again, they remembered the same words. We can take it. The voices of the Blitz, the mothers, the children, the firemen, the nurses, still echo through every act of British courage today. In the end, the Blitz was not just destruction, it was defiance. An empire had been humbled, a people had been tested, and out of the ashes rose unity. Britain's darkest hour became its brightest memory, not because of bombs or leaders, but because of ordinary people who refused to surrender their humanity. This was Echoes of Empire. Subscribe for more untold stories from the heart of Britain's history.